Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're going to continue on dealing with exterior and interior angles of a polygon. But what we're going to deal with now is in terms of regular polygons and finding out each of those. This can get a little tricky, not in the first part, it's more in the second part that's a little tricky, but I'll try to show you a quicker and easier way to do it. So a regular polygon, remember, is all sides and angles are equal. All right. Oops. And angles are equal. Really what we really care about are the angles. Okay, so what is the measure of each interior angle of a regular octagon? Actually, a regular octagon, you're familiar with that, it's a stop sign. Okay, so what it's asking is, what is every angle in that stop sign going to be equal to? Well, to figure that out, we first need to know all of the angles. What do they all add up to? Okay, so that's, we have our formula that's n minus 2 times 180, which is the sum. So in this case, I'm going to go 8 minus 2 times 180. So, of course, on the calculator, 6 times 180. And I get 1080. Well, if I want to know what each one is, I'm going to divide it by the number of angles. Well, it's an octagon, so there's 8. So I'm going to take 1080 divided by 8. Okay, so that's 135 degrees. So each angle in an octagon, or on a stop sign, is 135 degrees. All right, so again, next one, we're going to find what is the measure of each, now you got to read carefully, exterior angle of a regular decagon. Now, this is a little simpler, because we already know what all of the exterior angles add up to. Well, they add up to 360 degrees, so we don't have to figure anything out. I'm going to divide that by how many angles are. Well, it's a decagon, so there's 10. So that's 36 degrees. Okay? So, in fact, we're going to use this fact that this is easier to help us out with some things in a little bit. So we'll get to that, okay? So that one's a pretty simple one. So in kind of putting it together, to find the measure of each interior angle of a regular n-gon, you're going to take the sum interior and divide by n, whatever that is, the number of sides. Well, the sum of the interior is, 180, n minus 2 times 180, and all divided by n. So we have a little bit of a formula. I don't necessarily think of the formula itself, but I think about finding the sum of the interior, which is that n minus 2 times 180 and divided by the number of sides. Exterior, so you're going to take the sum of the exterior and divide by n. But it's easier because the sum of the exterior is always 360, and we're going to divide by n. Okay? All right. So here, this is going to lead us to something that's going to help us out in a little bit. Find the measure of each interior and exterior angle of a regular dodecagon. So first thing I need to find is, the sum of the interior. And that's going to be 12. Dodecagon is 12 minus 2 times 180. So that's 10 times 180. So that's 1,800. All right. So then I want to find each, interior. Each interior. I'm going to abbreviate. I'm going to take that 1,800 and divide it by n, which is 12. So I don't know what that is off the top of my head. 150 degrees. Okay. All right. Now, to get the each exterior, we're going to take the sum of the exterior, which is 360, and divide by 12. And we should get something like 30. Okay. Now, here's something I want you to notice. These two right here, interior and exterior, add up to 180 degrees, and they always will. Remember when we found what the exterior was in the last video, we used that fact. And why that's helpful is I can actually find this one, the exterior one, really easily. So a lot of times we ask for both. So a lot of times what I do is I just find the exterior one and then take 180 minus whatever that exterior is to get the interior. Okay, so sometimes it's a lot simpler to find that. So in this case, I would have done this first, exterior first, and then subtract from 180 to get 150. A little less work. Okay? Now, we're actually going to use that to help us. I'm going to go to the bottom one first. Okay? It says each exterior angle of a regular n-gon has a measure of 24. How many sides does the polygon have? Now let's think about what's going on here. So we know that each is equal to 360 divided by n. Okay? Well, if I'm trying to find out the n, really, I could do some rearranging here and solve for n. I'm going to go n is 360 divided by each. Okay? So in this case, to find my n, I'm going to go 360 divided by 24. That's 15. Okay, so how many sides? 15 sides. That's an easy problem. If I try to go back to this one, each interior angle of a regular n-gon has a measure of 120. It is a much more complicated formula. Okay, and so what I'm going to suggest you do is change it to this type of problem. All right, so if I know the interior is 120, what's each exterior? Well, it's equal to 180 minus 60. Oops, sorry, not minus 60, that's the answer. Minus 120, which is 60. Okay, now we can do what we did down here to find n. Go 360 divided by 60 is 6. So how many sides? 6 sides. So my suggestion for you on problems like this is change them to an exterior angle problem every time. Okay, so let's take a look at that and some other problems here. So what did they give us? Each interior is 175. So let's figure out what each exterior is. 180 minus 175.2. Well, that's going to be 4.8 degrees. To figure out the number of sides, n is 360 divided by 4.8. Is 75. So there's 75 sides. Whoa, that's a big polygon. I have no idea what that name would be. Next one, each exterior angle of a regular n-gon has a measure of 3. Do I need to change this one? No, I already know what the measure is. So this one's an easy one. I go right to it. 360 divided by 3, 120. Whoa, big one. 120 sides. That's a huge polygon. All right, so these are a little bit trickier. We're going to give you a few problems to try on this, and then after you do those in the book, I have a worksheet on this whole kind of section. Okay? All right. Let me know if you have questions or have any problems with it.